I'm going to do another one of these voiceovers of somebody else's video. This is from the very excellent Vlad9vt channel. He's not bothering talking who built them or anything. They're just great videos he's having of the famous ancient cities. And this place here, this is in Ukraine, which, you know, remember, it's as big as Western Canada, Ukraine. Look at the size of that thing. See the people on top? Yeah, that's all stone. It has catacombs under it with all this kind of stuff in it. 80, 90 crypts inside it. And it's like, I see right away what it is. And the dates are, see, the 22nd to the 21st century before Christ. Right? So 21,000 to 20,000. But the structure itself is 25,000 to 15,000 when it flourished. But I know what happened since in those years. I don't know the full glaciology of the retreat of the Siberian, or say the Russian and Scandinavian ice cap. Whatever the name for that ice sheet is, and probably had one. Ciskeralia, you know, the near side of the Urals. Yeah, and that's of course a mammoth, you know. And they were around 25,000 years ago. They hadn't been wiped out yet by the Cataclysm of 11,800. Yeah, they were around, but there was a stone grave. It's an unsolved mystery amid Ukrainian steppes. 35-foot tall boulders. An area of 3,000 square meters. That's a lot of space. A lot of space. A stone tomb, you know. 87 grottos and caves, 65 of which have been preserved, with thousands of petroglyphs, drawings, and symbols. Well, watch as the symbols unfold. There was a language, you know, when this happened. But think about that. That's that it was a stone grave was exclusively for religious purposes. What they're missing, though, is that the age of cataclysms wiped out anything in wood that would have been on top of it or around it. If on top of it, I'm thinking you probably would have, that would be the crypts underneath the city. I don't know, some other structure that was maybe just built of wood because of all the forests of wood, but the great savannas, and they built things out of animal bone. A lot of the shit that's in the Black Sea that got wiped out or under mud that got come down out of the Siberian ice cap, or whatever happened in the Baltic. You know, when the Baltic ice cap disappeared, the Baltic Depression is the same thing as Hudson Bay. It's a puddle left over. You know, but this is all kind of exposed to the valleys of the trans-Russian lowlands that would wash over for anything in the Arctic. But the age of cataclysms, you know, this is before the Ice Age ended. This began 20,000, ended 20,000 years ago, and the first Ice Age, the first water raise began. But this lasted until, well, 15,000, they say, right? Well, what happened then? Well, then it's kind of sometime about 10,000, 11,000, 12,000 BC, it stopped being there. And well, why would that be? Well, it would be the impact of the Hiawatha crater, which I call now the Phaeton meteor, just to keep calling it a meteor so it doesn't get into a big discussion of what it actually might have been. But look at the size of that thing. 87 grottos, was it, or 85? You know, and yeah, it's a great channel. So please subscribe to this guy. He's Russian or Ukrainian, I'm not sure, brother. You'll tell me sometime. If you don't like this, Vlad, I'll take it down, pal. But I'm just trying to elucidate for people what they're seeing. Now, this is not Nanshu. No, which is elsewhere in the Ukraine. I don't think it's Nushan. I think it's Nanshu. Vlad will know what I mean. Elsewhere in the Ukraine, which is a big stone kind of, not Stonehenge-y thing exactly. It's bigger than Stonehenge and older. Like 25,000 years. This is pre-megalithic. This is like proto-megalithic. This is before the first cataclysm in 20,000, whatever started the great melt in 20,000 that raised the sea suddenly by 125 meters or 175, something like that. And then again by another 122, 400 feet, they say, because of the 11,800 event. And then what caused the sun to release the Laurentian ice cap in 6,000? And this is also what, at the time that by 5,000, the civilizations that had flourished on the Sahara had disappeared. But what about the other? And I can't find that video. It's been taken down, the one that had the thing about the satellite scene, but I have an idea where it is now. Next thing to the river they're talking about. I kind of know where to look for it now. I'll do my own poking around, but apparently it's there to be found. I should have looked for it right away that first time I saw it. Yeah, these are all really interesting symbologies for me because I know a lot about when I'm seeing things, what they kind of mean. I got a sense of them. They all look really familiar, don't they? Yeah, instinctively you kind of know they have a meaning, right? We've forgotten what the little angles mean and what it all decodes. You're like, this is language here you're looking at. Pictograph. What it means? We don't know. We've just forgotten how to read them, but all those symbols mean something back then. To somebody, are they somebody's name? Events? Yeah, names, crypts, sacred engravings. What are they? We don't know. But we can tell that they're, yeah, you can tell like that thing at the top there, that's language. But so could be the figurine there. The figure, just the image might be alone. Yeah, powerful stuff. And then, this inspired Picasso, this kind of stuff, although he never saw this stuff. This is in Ukraine. All this stuff was hidden during the Soviet years. There's so much that's come out in Russia, Belarus, Karelia, which is like Russian Finland. Yeah, it's so beautiful. But powerful. You can sense it's like a Chinese pictogram. Yeah, no, there's a theory that this particular culture that also is at Nanshu or Nushan, whichever it is, just farther west near I don't know the rivers well enough to say, Dnieper maybe, I don't know, farther west of this. Oh, yeah, no, tell me that does not mean anything. Yeah, exactly. This is language. We just don't know. This is language. This is evidence of language 25,000 years ago, and also high civilization. I guess there's engravings that I can't see it. That's just beautiful, whatever it is. A piece of rock is all I see. But yeah, this is language I'm looking at. And I'm seeing a full language here and a high civilization, but that the wooden structures are gone because of the great cataclysms of 11,800 and 20,000. And, 6,000 would have drastically changed the climate in this area, but by then the mammoths were gone with the 11,800 event, along with all the humans that hadn't hidden somehow. Whoever did this is all gone. This is all gone. Or they were somewhere else, or they were underground when it happened. They had somewhere to go. Or they understood it was coming, or got it out of the fucking way. Otherwise, the cataclysm would have washed away everything. Yeah, easily collapses of the Siberian ice cap, or whatever you call the one up over northern Russia, could have unleashed catastrophes through the glacial lakes, what are now the Pripyat marshes, maybe, I don't know. Water levels of the glaciology and the hydrology of ancient Europe, I don't know enough about. But yeah, I'm sure, look at this. This is destroyed by, this was the base of something. Look at that. It's the base of something. That's what it struck me. Of a great temple, and yes, in the crypts where they kept people, important people that were important. That is script. Nobody can tell me that is not script. I see it so clearly, I just can't read it. I just don't know what it means, but I know that's not just abstract symbols. That is script. So we got to have a name for this. It was a Jakarian? No, 25,000. I don't know. Linguistics says a lot of what the dates are. It has the names. Yeah, it looks like stuff in the interior here. The stuff in the interior here is not that elaborate. The same symbol system. I've got to show that to my First Nations friends. What does that say to you? What would you read into that? Oh, wow, right, yeah, look how where it is, a high rock thing. It's quite a large platform, rock platform. Look at it, it's flat enough to have had structures on it made out of wood. Without having to have posts on it, you could just lay them on there. That was flat and even enough. Across the top of it, you could have built like a big wooden structure. Whether it was a temple, whether you needed walls in those days, or the days of the Golden Age, maybe you didn't need walls, so you didn't need to build a palisade. And it was like, a sacred precinct on top. And yeah, there's a graveyard. No, it's kind of like Karnak. It's a series of Sarsens. They're all over Europe, all the way from Ireland all the way to the Caucasus, and into Siberia too, and down into Turkey. They're all over this whole era stuff. Why isn't this in your history books, kids? When you went to high school, you never taught any history at all. Probably very little, I know. From having talked to a few younger people lately, it shocks me what's not being taught. But look at the size of that thing, and then all this again. Look at that. Wow. So, Vlad, don't mind me. Look at this here also. That's like an idol, not an idol, but it's this sacred. The spot is so sacred. So this whole thing was a temple platform. It's a temple platform. There was something on top of it that got washed away, is what I'm seeing, you see. Sensing that that's what it was. It's very sacred. It would have been where you'd want to be on top of to perform important rites with whatever structure you had on top of there. The giant trees that must have once been harvested to build it. Sure, yeah, the giants helped build the foundation like they did Persepolis. We know now that. Of course, this thing was founded by Koresh. You know, Cyrus. Where did that video go? Where did that video go? I gotta find that video again. It's 8 discoveries from last year, it was called. I gotta find that again. It's gone. They took it down. The things were revealed. So it went quickly. And I think I know why. It's because the Masons still have the interdict on Berassus. But Berassus now, sorry boys, you know, we already have the evidence. I thought I did. Yeah, is that what you've done? Is hide the evidence of this ancient city of the desert that can only be what it is? And it makes a sense of everything else that's being found. It fits together like so many pieces in a puzzle that I can see the whole thing now. It's like, holy cow. What's being hidden is quite amazing. But this is a temple platform. I'm seeing like a wooden structure. How big, I don't know. You know, you see, look at that. Look at how level that is. You can build on top of that easily in wood. Stable, you know, without having to have post holes or anything. There's not a lot of money for archaeology, especially not near war zones. You know, Ukraine doesn't have a lot of money, but to dig, so look at this, oh, beautiful. But what is it saying? You know, well, let your instincts tell you, you know, because this is a level of culture where they were already a civilized human being, complex clothing and trade, and yeah, reasons that people went downstairs, songs that were sung and danced here, and, you know, a sense of holiness to the places where the dead, it was great grottos where they were kept, you know. So it was a great ceremonial center. So this was all wiped away by, well, the 11,800 Cataclysm all through the Ukraine, which had devastating fires and rains at least. Also the younger Dryas would have made a lot more wintry. Killed off all the mammoths too on there. Other than the ones that they ate, and they built, you know, there's a whole culture there where they built houses out of the rib cages of the mammoth and the mastodon. Very nice houses, actually. All that ivory, they found a lot of digs like that. Yeah, a lot of that ivory got dug up by peasants and sold too. Russia had a lot of ivory without having any elephants, because they'd find it around the fields, even in Russia itself, but especially in Siberia, you know. Once they found the big muskeg, what we call muskeg, whatever it's called in Russia. The Krai, the frontier. I know they call it like that, Siberia Krai. Yeah, look at this place. I'm fascinated by stuff like this. So Vlad's a pretty good channel. I was watching some other stuff. Some really interesting stuff on Russia, what else they're finding, including, you know, things related to this, which is also, you know, related to the climate change stuff about the other peoples in Africa, that everything dates to the timeline of what wiped out things. And look at this, is an Aurach, which is like giant cattle, really, really big cattle. That's what the first thing is. Yeah, another Aurach, and it's a cow, I guess, of it. And, yeah, one of her explorer friends with him. And I think this is Vlad's own personal shots. That was probably his little boy then. Yeah, so he travels the world doing this. Nice life to have, eh? I've seen it do all their stuff. Nice, all put some nice together videos. Uruk and Eridu and Nippur and stuff, right? So he does a lot of good work. So I recommend his channel. I'll sign this off now. But yeah, think about what the implications of this now. For those who get back to showing us stuff, there's more. See the one language up there on that rock. You see. The story goes that this Göbekli Tepe is people from this area, Ukraine, that they came around into Asia Minor as a result of this. And they came down and they settled, you know, at Göbekli Tepe. And well, in that area, there's sites just as old, lots of them around Göbekli Tepe that have been found, including whole fortresses of that era that were built up after the Great Devastation. But that culture that built Göbekli Tepe, those people, there's supposedly a connection there between that and Sumerian beliefs. The Sumerian beliefs, the Sumerian stories, which aren't the oldest ones. Giraftian would be. We just have lost all knowledge of that, unless something is found as some kind of script or something talking of the place within. But it's older than Sumer. But, you know, Sumer's not where language began. It was Ugarit. which I think is in northern Israel, or Lebanon anyway, somewhere in there, Syria maybe, but I think it's Israel. I'm not sure, but it's the first cuneiform was not in Samaria, it was in the Fertile Crescent, but it was at Ugarit, which is over on the Levant, you know, which country it's in, I'm not certain. So this giant thing here is only one of the giant Ukrainian megalith complexes, like I said about the other one, and there's megaliths and dolmens. A really interesting thing, dolmens with holes in them all through the Caucasus and around Armenia and Georgia and stuff like that, all through there. By the hundreds. What did I hear also about 300 million? I figure there's 300 million mammoths and mastodons still out there in the tundra and stuff. Boggling, because that's the size of the herds. You gotta remember the bison. Well, basically the mastodon and the mammoth were the same, and what they ate was, you know, whatever was up there, whatever was a nice country, probably, you know, boreal forests are probably like moose, right? Ate all the fucking moss of the lakes, just chomp, 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 chomp. So I don't know, must have been a nice life, being a pachyderm and fucking somewhere roaming around in the cold swamps. We think moose are big. Oh, think about that, right? Yeah, it was a magical world, and then the comet hit, the meteor hit, whatever it was, Ion Bull, Hiawatha, Phaeton, whatever you want to call it. The lash of Venus as she went by after the lash of Mars is what Velikovsky said. No, I think they're all separate events, so his overall conceptions are right, but he has the chronology wrong. Because he didn't know about everything else is known today. But, yeah, beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. That's a song. That's a song. I can just know looking at what that is. These are like prayers. Yeah, is that what is that though? I'm not certain. You see the shape of it? There's things we don't know why the shape of it. Yeah, look at it down there. Nice place too. Interesting looking, eh? You know, I used to hike around. I guess that's Vlad. You know, and yeah, really interesting place. Come on, what was I gonna else look up then? What else has he got on here? Fast forward this. Anyway, right up on it now a little bit. In Russian only. Yeah, so there's nice images. Okay, so. Yeah, see, it's not just repeat images, more and more new ones all the time. His videos are all like that. So I really enjoy his channel. I really enjoy his. Sorry, I was showing what I was looking for. It was just the same kind of thing. I guess you better shut this off. Other than saying, oh, this was interesting when I'll do the one thing here that really caught my eye because it's about British Columbia. I should comment on it. What else was in here that was interesting? Oh, this was interesting. This lake is like, yeah. Oh, yeah. So this place here, this is northern Tanzania. I won't do too much of it, but the lake is blood red, and animals in the area will turn to stone. I guess humans will too. Nobody lives here, obviously. But this is real. Look at that thing. The size of it. See the clouds? Size.
Located in the Arusha region of northern Tanzania,
yeah.
is a natural wonder of the world.
I wouldn't want to go there. It turns things to stone. Animals, wildebeest, turn to stone from being near it. No, I'm not going to go here somewhere like that. Forget it. The moving rocks here, this gets interesting. I knew about these since I was a kid. They're famous in California. There's still no explanation as to why or how they move, and I don't know. Well, I won't get into it, but they're really interesting. Does the wind do it? No. Does anything else do it? No. Are you sure anything else might do it? Well, maybe. Well, we don't know, but what are they? What drives? What makes them move? They don't seem intelligent, but why do they move? How do they move? Nobody's ever recorded seeing them move, but they still leave tracks like that because they do move, but not when anybody's looking. Right? So I call it the racetrack is what I know it as. They give a bunch of other names. So yeah, check this out. 6 mysterious places that defy the laws of physics. What's the next one there? Oh, I never seen that before, like a whole bunch of them at once. That's really interesting to see that pattern. I knew a lot about them, but I never saw that before.
and then setting the vehicle in neutral will show it beginning to
Oh, Jeju, yeah, the Jeju Island in Korea is upside down or something like that. Yeah, it's a magnetic hole or something.
Recently, efforts in telescopes
Gravitational hole.
have been used to understand the areas deep within the island to better understand the volcanic structures in the region.
It's not volcanic. This is Spotted Lake in BC. This is near Soyuz, northwest of Soyuz. Yeah, and this is now the Okanagan First Nations have reacquired control of it. Probably the Soyuz Indian band, but just the Okanagan Silks.
They supposedly hold different properties in each deposit. These pools of water are so mineral rich that many used to report strange healing properties.
Yeah. They're really potent, and they're a native thing. I mean, they were used by the government to make armaments and stuff. This is in British Columbia, but the First Nations have closed it to everybody else, and but that was used to make armaments in the World Wars. And mine this shit. But it's a natural thing, and yeah, it's a sacred native healing space. Obviously, it would be if you lived there, and it was very ancient. Of course, it would be a very sacred kind of place, right? So it is sacred again now. They've laid down the law, and people are still trying to bother it.
Oddly enough, the lake was once used by the Canadian government.
Yeah, used by the Canadian government to make munitions.
And manufacturing of ammunition during World War I, outside of the uses of healing elixirs. Though tourists are not welcome, many still flock to the site every year and take pictures from drones and cameras all around.
Just trash.
Electromagnetic properties of Stonehenge. The strange megalithic creations, known to be possibly one of the oldest megalithic monuments.
Well, I know he's talking about that he does witching rods, bullshit with it, so I'll know past that part. Maybe that works, I don't know. I've never seen it do it thing. The hole in the cola. That's not actually it. That's the mine maybe that it was drilled through, but it goes 7.5 miles deep. Story goes of the sound of screaming and stuff they could hear through the drilling things, but with just the pipe or whatever, right? But yeah, it's not. They're hearing through the sensors, But is that illusion or what? But the hole is actually like only so many quarter-inch, not even that deep, wide. It's a tiny little drill hole. It's not. I don't think it's a big heavy-duty drill hole. But the Russians and the Soviets, rather, and the Americans were racing. And the Russians got a lot farther down. They got deeper in the cola than anybody else has ever gotten anywhere on Earth. So that's, I don't know how deep they shove. The cola's not that high, so certainly not a mile over sea level. So, at least 6 miles, 6.5 miles below sea level is how low they went. That's huge down, but underneath the mountains and stuff is a deeper rock, mostly rock. There is some volcanic activity in the area, which could be gas pockets. Basically, what's a gas pocket? What's a long discussion about what makes magma magma. What is actually down there is another story. This turned out to be hotter than they knew it was. But there's different places to go down. You see, they're going down in the wrong place. If they did hear screaming, they went down in the really wrong place. But it was just this illusion of heat, whatever. There'll be places downstairs where you don't want to go down into, but the other places downstairs where you can go down into, and they've existed since ancient times. We just have to remember where they are again. They're all told of. We just have to remember where the entrances are and how to get into them. I know that sounds like madness, but no, I'm just taking all ancient history now as a valid history. And what else is in this? That's weird because it looks like Quebec. I guess it's not. It looks like they made each other. I'm gonna have to. I think they got that backwards. That's New Brunswick down the lower right. No, that's it. So I'm done. Thanks. See you later. The Unprofessor commenting on Unexplained Mysteries. Got this video, 6 Mysterious Places, and Vlad9vt. Excellent channels. Yeah, I want to rate this guy about the ancient city in the desert and see if he knows where it is. I remember it was 8 things that were found last year. So look for that right now. Have a nice evening.